who does not walk in strange circles. Everything is very deliberate, and because of that, we are able to have the conversation today and to discuss the upcoming ICT Summit, the 16th annual, which is happening tomorrow. But we'll find out all the details. Mr. Mfuleni, good morning, sir. Thank you for your time.
A happy, beautiful morning. How are you guys doing?
We're great. We're great. It's a Monday, but the weather even allows us to have a positive outlook for the week, so we're good to go. Welcome. We were unable to connect with each other on Friday, but we said that we definitely have to have this conversation because it's important to kind of roll out the red carpet for the important work that you guys are doing at the ICT Summit. How did this summit come about in the first place? What was the thinking behind that, Mr. Mfuleni?
No, firstly, thank you for having us. KNR is a good partner to the summit for many years, so it's almost quite good to have it this time. It's almost like saving the best for last. So thank you for having us. The idea of the summit really was to get people, largely Africans, to talk about ICT developments in the country. And we chose the Eastern Cape, in East London in particular, to be the host city. It's been 16 years of that. From tomorrow, it will be officially. And it's been a very productive 16 years. And we've really contributed to a lot of trends, to a lot of policy. So that's really was the idea behind the ICT Summit hosted in the Eastern Cape.
And I mean, it's made waves, it's changed perspectives, and obviously has brought industries together in a way that is very rarely seen in these parts. And so, why was it then so important to make sure that you focus on tech more than anything? Because I mean, that's what is the wave of the future.
Look, we come from tech, so all of us are from tech, and the huge influence, I must say, somebody may not know this, is a colleague of mine, Daryl Dennis, who was in tech long before me, who influenced me to really play a big role in tech. So Daryl Dennis, big up to him, and it's good now that he's running an innovation hub supporting a lot of young people in tech. So we come from tech, we know tech better than anything, and we felt that understanding the tech environment and ecosystem, we can play a nice role in making sure that we contribute with our professional skills and our network in what ICTs should be in the context of Black South Africans.
Look, can you maybe take us through some of the more memorable things that have happened? I mean, 16 years is not child's play. It's consistency, it's planning, it's thinking ahead. Can you take us through some of the memorable things that have been done or achieved by this ICT Summit that you think are worthy of highlighting so that we know what kind of impact this event is having?
I think the first one is something that everyone takes common now, which is Wi-Fi. When we started the ICT, there was no Wi-Fi. There was no campaign about Wi-Fi. If you recall back in the day, if you needed to connect on the internet, you needed to connect a cable into your laptop port.
Yes.
So that you remember the old ADSL line.
Yes, and you dial up.
And you have to dial up, and depending where you are, it used to buffer if you download the video or big files. So
yes.
That's the first thing. And that's the first thing, really, because that's what the summit does. It talks about trends before they happen. It's one of the trends that we introduced, that this is what's going to happen. At that stage, the only people who had deployed Wi-Fi was AXA in the airports. And this whole concept of getting a pin for you to connect in, really people were very confused, including myself, by the way, on how to put the pin and how do you know when you're connected. But now, wherever we go, it's an automatic thing.
Yes.
So we put the Wi-Fi trend, and the Wi-Fi was very, very important in the sense that it created wider wireless access to the internet. And it really made sure that when you travel, some of us back in the day, we used to even travel with those ADSL cables. because you go to a spot where there's not even a cable for you to connect. You almost must bring your own. So that's the big thing. Wi-Fi is now adopted, and we really wanted to make sure that the Eastern Cape was not left behind in the Wi-Fi curve, because it was going to be an easier thing to deploy access, more especially in areas where access is a problem. A Wi-Fi creates a very easy intervention. Later, as you would recall, then the routers came in the market, and then it became easier for households, not only for institutional office or workstations like government buildings, corporate buildings. So it really became an accessible thing. So that's the first wave that really we drove with great success. And we're happy that government and Eastern Cape really adopted the usage of Wi-Fi. The second thing that's very important that we drove is that Eastern Cape government, when we came into the picture, had no ICT strategy in place, meaning an organized framework of how government is going to use ICT to talk to citizens, how government is going to use ICT to talk to business. And this was very, very important because government is a policy-driven institution. It works with legislation, it works with mandates. So we contributed to the first ICT strategy for Eastern Cape government. That strategy was a 10-year plan. That plan ended, I think it was in 2014. So that plan took us through the Soccer World Cup that South Africa hosted. And a lot of that capability came from that plan. It was through the ICT Summit that we got everybody around the table, and we worked together with government and the industry to develop that plan. Even in this ICT Summit that is being hosted this week, the next 10-year plan is going to be discussed, designed, and put together. That's the second thing. The other thing that's important is the whole issue of our children in schools becoming, connected into the internet world, as we used to call it then. Because if you remember, you and me grew up in an era of what was called computer labs. You remember those computer labs with lots of computers, but 90% of them were just computers that were not working.
Yes.
So they
Very
just became
true.
typing machines.
For assignments and such.
So we then said that no, when companies go into whether a village or a township in the CSI role, right? Remember, most of them came from the foundations of these companies as donations. We said no, they have to be connected because they become useless. A learner has to use that computer, and we must move away from computers anyway and introduce laptops. So the learner should be able to use this thing, move it from classroom to classroom, instead of the entire classroom have to go to a computer lab. So those are some of the transformative things that we've done. If you now go to some, and we must emphasize some, because the project has not been concluded. But if you go to some of the schools in the township and rural areas, those laptops are now connected, right? But what they've also done, those laptops, they also help the teacher from school administration, because we are kumbulumiso mkhulu naye wayesokola no principal.
Especially with technology.
Mostly with technology, because in the process now, management yesikolo, if it was not a savvy, now train on some of these devices, so the benefit shared. But the last important part was that Kana is called a Wi-Fi hotspot, right, in the township. Ukuba wana most kwezindawo abantu anifuna ubiza amagama ndiziphe advertising, but ukuzibona as restaurants where people are camping around them because they want Wi-Fi, right? Now the same thing now happens with schools that have Wi-Fi connectivity. Abantu abakula community, whether yilali kula ward yalalali okanye la ward yala township area, bayakwazi nabo ngokubenefita and hotspot from the Wi-Fi that's in that institution. So that benefit iya communities. Then the last thing we've done, this is something that really shocked me myself, was that the ICT industry, it was man heavy. right?
Mm.
And women were not in the forefront. Even if you look at the previous summits, I mean, the early part, we launched them in PE when we were working with Daryl Dennis. And in that part, it was mostly men who were talking and doing presentation. But if you look years later, it's a very nice mix. And it's a
Mm.
mix of women who do core technology, meaning they're in the main front of the technology services. Now, that then meant that we needed to introduce a tool to bring them on board. So Sazan and Dr.
Mm.
Z Women in ICT Awards, right?
Yes.
Because they were there, but they were kept in the server rooms and they were not given the exposure. So that then
Right.
led into also the role of women. And if you can go online and see the program now, there's a lot of powerful women, some of them even more powerful than men in content and academic discipline. So these are some of the things just to mention, but a few around the successes of the summit.
That is great. That is great to hear as well, especially when you get all these minds who are thinking 10 years, 15 years ahead in one space. A lot can actually be achieved as you guys are doing. And I mean, you've been correct about the trends and the future trends and the things that we are looking forward to are some of the things that you've already mentioned. Now, um, tell us how this thing is going to roll out. What are the core details that we need to know about this year's ICT Summit? Where is it happening? How do people get involved? And where will it be taking place?
So the roll down revolves around our theme. So our theme is now forward looking, right? And we're saying we are going into an era that's going to be 5G heavy, right? And 5G then requires a lot of infrastructure developments and investments. And that infrastructure must leave no one behind, meaning the people in the villages, the people in the townships must become part of the next wave in all age groups, in all sectors of society and communities where we live in. That's a very important thing, because when we do that, then government services become quicker and efficient. You don't have to
Mm.
travel far to go get your medical report in a clinic. You can access it from wherever you are and be advised medically by your doctor what should be your next step to respond to treatment. You don't have to travel far to update your details in your local municipality so that your billing account is up to date. You don't have to leave the house to go to a corner shop to just buy your electricity token. We must improve on the things that are due. So these are basic practical things that you and me get frustrated when you must go to a local grocery store. You'll stand in a long queue just to tell money. These are things
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
at the basic level that we want to deal with. You don't have to lose your day off by going to Home Affairs just to understand a status of your either passport application, the birth certificate application of your children, whether you were dealing with abridged or unabridged. These are things that we can do from wherever we are. So as citizens, it brings us a lot of convenience, and government is able to engage with us better. So that's really the tone this year, and we've brought all the important stakeholders. So
Mm.
then we are hosted at the ICC at East London beachfront. So the
Mm.
summit starts on Wednesday the 23rd. It ends on the 24th, the Thursday. Tomorrow we're having a networking and social golf at the East London golf course, and it's also a way for us to welcome the early arrivals for the
Okay.
summit, because some come a day before due to flights and other travel arrangements. So it gives them an opportunity to come early, network, and then mingle and meet some of the stakeholders from the province of the home of legends, as I would like to
Yes.
call it. Yes, 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 Mchana. So that's the lowdown for the summit. Our information is available on our website, www.ictsummit.co.za. Everything is there. Someone was asking me, do we still take late registrations? Yes, we do. We don't want to leave no one behind.
Yeah.
So the registration link is also on the website. And then for other updates, you can look at our platforms. mostly the ICT Summit and our YouTube channel.
Fantastic stuff. The fastest growing tech conference is the ICT Summit, and we are in conversation with Mr. Motse Mfuleni, who is the founder and executive chairman. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We can't wait for tomorrow and the 2 subsequent days, because the tech mind, the tech world comes alive in East London for the ICT Summit. So we'll definitely see you there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us once more. KNR is a big part of our family. Thank you.
Thank you.